The night was cold and wet. Rain poured over the quiet parking lot behind the gas station, dim lights flickering over puddles of oil and water. A young black woman, Maya Johnson, wearing her worn-out waitress uniform, stepped out of the diner after a long shift. She sighed, pulling her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders. Behind her, muffled voices echoed. Angry, sharp, she turned, noticing two men harassing someone in military fatigues. A wounded Marine barely standing, clutching his side. Maya hesitated. Her instincts screamed to walk away, but her heart wouldn't let her. She took a step closer. "Hey, leave him alone!" she shouted, her voice trembling yet firm. The men turned, sneering. One of them spat, "Mind your business, lady." The other pulled a knife, the blade glinting under the dim yellow light. Maya froze, just for a second. Then she moved. In one heartbeat she ran forward, pushing the Marine out of the way. A scream tore through the night. The blade plunged, once, twice, again and again. Maya hit the ground, blood soaking through her uniform. The men fled into the darkness. The Marine crawled to her, trembling. "Why? Why did you do that?" he whispered, his voice breaking. Maya smiled faintly through the pain. "Because someone has to stand up, even when they're scared." Her vision blurred, her fingers tightening weakly around his hand as sirens wailed in the distance. She took 7 stabs protecting a stranger. Next morning, Marines knocked with a metal that silenced everyone. White light, steady beeping, the smell of antiseptic. Maya blinked her eyes open. The hospital ceiling swam above her. Every breath burned. Her ribs, her shoulder, her stomach, bandaged tight. A nurse leaned over her. "You're a miracle, sweetheart. 7 stab wounds. And you're still breathing. The doctors say you shouldn't even be alive." Maya winced, whispering, "The Marine, is he?" The nurse smiled softly. "He's alive. You saved him. He's been outside your room all night." The door creaked. A man limped in, the Marine she saved. His uniform jacket hung on one arm, face pale but eyes burning with gratitude. "Maya," he said quietly, stepping closer. "You shouldn't have done that for me. You don't even know me." She smiled weakly. "Didn't have to. You needed help. That was enough." He swallowed hard, fighting tears. "My name's Sergeant David Cole. I radioed my base. They know what you did. They're not going to forget this." Maya tried to shake her head, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't do it for recognition." He cut her off gently. "No. You did it for honor, something a lot of us forgot outside the battlefield." As he stepped closer, he pressed something small into her palm. His Marine insignia pin. "If I could, I'd give you my stripes," he said. "But this will have to do until command hears your story." Maya closed her fingers around the cold metal, tears slipping down her cheek. Outside, the faint sound of boots echoed down the hallway. A group of Marines entering the hospital. They were coming. For her. Sunlight spilled gently through the hospital blinds. Maya tried sitting up, wincing as pain rippled through her stitched wounds. The night had been long, filled with flashes of knives, blood, and the Marine's fading voice begging her to hold on. She was alive, barely, but alive. Then, just as she closed her eyes to rest, thud, thud. A knock on the door, firm, rhythmic, not the nurse, not the doctor. It was the sound of combat boots. The door opened, and there they were, 5 Marines, in full dress blues, standing tall. Their medals gleamed under the fluorescent light. Leading them was a gray-haired general, his presence so commanding that even the nurses froze mid-step. Everyone in the hallway stopped to watch. Maya blinked, speechless. What's happening?" The general stepped forward, holding a small velvet box. "Miss Maya Johnson?" She nodded weakly. He glanced down at the file in his hand, then back at her. His voice steady, deep. "You risked your life to save one of my men. You didn't think twice, didn't ask who he was, didn't ask for anything in return." He took a deep breath. That kind of courage is what this nation was built on. The Marines behind him snapped to attention. "Maya Johnson, by order of the United States Marine Corps, you are hereby awarded the Civilian Medal of Valor." The room fell completely silent. Even the nurse's hand trembled as she held back tears. The general opened the box and pinned the medal beside her hospital gown. Then, something unexpected happened. He stepped back and saluted her. Every Marine in the room followed. A hospital janitor whispered under his breath, She's not even a soldier. The nurse beside him replied softly, "No, she's something braver." Maya's lips quivered as tears rolled down her face. She whispered, "I was just trying to help." The general smiled faintly. That's exactly why heroes never see themselves as heroes. The room filled with quiet reverence. Not a sound, only pride and awe. The secret behind her courage. The Marines slowly exited the room, their boots echoing down the corridor. Maya sat frozen, the metal glinting faintly against her gown. The moment felt unreal, like a dream she wasn't sure she deserved. Then the nurse, Sophia, approached quietly. "Maya, you didn't even know that soldier, did you?" Maya's gaze dropped. Her fingers traced the edge of the metal, eyes distant. "No," she said softly, "but I knew someone like him." Sophia tilted her head. "Someone like him?" Maya took a shaky breath, her voice trembling but strong enough to cut the silence. "My brother Elias. He enlisted 5 years ago. Said he wanted to make Mom proud, but we never saw him again." The room seemed to shrink. Even the heart monitor slowed its steady beep. "I begged him not to go," she continued. "He promised he'd come back. He used to joke. Said if I ever saw a Marine in trouble I should treat him like I'd treat him." Tears welled in her eyes. "That night, when I saw the man bleeding in the alley, I swear I saw my brother's face. I couldn't move. I couldn't let him die." Sophia's own eyes filled. "You thought it was him?" Maya nodded slowly. "Just for a second. But even when I realized it wasn't, I couldn't stop. It felt like God was giving me a second chance to save my brother, even if it wasn't him." Sophia covered her mouth, trembling. The nurse whispered, Maybe it was more than a chance." Then a faint knock came again. The general reappeared, alone this time. "Maya," he said quietly, "there's something you need to see." He placed a folded letter on her bed. It was old, creased, and marked with sand. The top read, "To my sister Maya, if I don't make it back." Her breath caught in her throat. The handwriting, it was Elias's. The general's voice softened. "Your brother served under me. He saved 3 men in his last mission, including the soldier you saved last night." Maya's world shattered and rebuilt in the same heartbeat. Her tears fell freely now, not from pain but from release. The general looked at her medal, then at the letter. "Seems your brother's promise came full circle, Miss Johnson." The light hit the medal again, and for the first time she didn't see it as an award. She saw it as a bridge. Between the living and the lost, between courage and love, the medal that opened old wounds. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. The hospital room was dim, filled only with the glow of city lights filtering through blinds. The letter lay open on her lap, her brother's words etched into her heart. "If you're reading this, it means I didn't come home. But promise me, Maya, don't ever lose the fire in you. If you ever get the chance to protect someone, do it, even if it costs you everything." Her trembling fingers brushed against his signature. The ink had faded, but the emotion hadn't. Suddenly, the door creaked open. The same Marine general stepped in quietly. He carried a small wooden box this time, covered with a velvet cloth. "Maya," he began gently, "we did some digging after you saved Private Lawson. We wanted to understand why he meant so much to you. That's when we found the connection." He set the box down and opened it slowly. Inside lay a silver insignia, worn, scarred, but unmistakably marked. E.J. Maya gasped. "Elias Johnson." The general nodded. "Your brother. We recovered this from a base in Al-Mafraq years ago. He was declared missing in action, but before that, he left behind something else." He handed her another folded document, newer, official, sealed with a golden stamp. Maya hesitated, then opened it. It read, "To be awarded posthumously to Elias Johnson, Medal of Valor, for bravery beyond duty, to be presented in his name to the person who carries his spirit." Maya froze. Her eyes darted to the general. What does that mean?" He smiled softly. "It means you're the one, Maya. You didn't just carry his blood. You carried his courage. He saved our men once. You saved one of them again. That's why tomorrow the Corps will be here. Not to thank you, but to finish what your brother started." Maya covered her mouth. The emotions crashed over her in waves. Grief, pride, disbelief. The general looked at her, his weathered face softening. Your brother once said you had more bravery in your heart than any soldier he knew. He was right. He turned to leave, pausing at the door. Tomorrow, the Marines march for you, Miss Johnson. The world needs to know the name Maya means strength. As the door shut, Maya clutched the medal and the letter to her chest, tears streaming down her face. For the first time since her brother's death, her heart felt both broken and whole. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the city skyline. Somewhere far away, a bugle played. Faint, steady, proud. Her brother's song. The day the Marines saluted her. Morning came with a quiet drizzle, the kind that makes the world look washed and new. Maya sat in a wheelchair near the hospital window, watching raindrops trace paths down the glass. Her bandaged hands clutched the folded letter, and around her neck, the medal shimmered faintly, the one that had belonged to her brother. The nurse, Sophia, entered with a smile. They're here for you. Outside, the hospital courtyard was filled with uniformed Marines, rows upon rows of them standing in perfect formation, their boots gleaming, their faces solemn. The general stood at the front, his cap tucked under his arm. When Maya was wheeled out, a hush spread over the entire courtyard. Even the rain seemed to stop falling for a moment. General Carson stepped forward, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. Today, he began, we honor not just a hero, but a legacy. 5 years ago, Corporal Elias Johnson gave his life saving 3 of his men. Yesterday, his sister, Maya Johnson, nearly gave hers doing the same. Different battles, same courage. A ripple of emotion passed through the soldiers. Some blinked back tears. He gestured to a young Marine, Private Lawson, the one Maya had saved. His arm was still in a sling, but he stood tall. He saluted her, voice trembling. Ma'am, I owe you my life. Maya's lips quivered. No, Private. You owe it to all those who didn't get a second chance. The general raised his hand. Company, attention! The soldiers snapped into formation, their rifles angled down in solemn respect. Then, a single bugle began to play taps. The sound carried through the courtyard, echoing against the wet pavement and hospital walls. Maya closed her eyes. For a moment she saw her brother, smiling in his old uniform, standing among the ranks, proud and alive. When the last note faded, the general stepped forward with the velvet box. Inside was a golden insignia, the Medal of Valor. He pinned it carefully to her chest. By order of the Corps, this medal is awarded to Maya Johnson for extraordinary courage and selfless service beyond the call of duty. Applause erupted, restrained at first, then rising into a thunderous wave that filled the air. Even doctors and patients at the windows clapped. Maya's tears fell freely now, but this time they weren't tears of pain. They were of peace. Private Lawson stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. I think your brother would be proud. Maya looked up at the sky. The rain had stopped, and a faint ray of sunlight broke through the clouds. I know he is, she said softly, because I can feel him right here. Her hand touched the medal, his medal, resting above her heart. The secret mission. After the ceremony, the Marines escorted Maya back inside. The hospital felt different now, quieter, reverent. Every nurse, every doctor who had once just seen her as a patient, now looked at her with awe. The general followed her into the room, carrying a sealed envelope stamped classified. He waited until the others left, then set it on her lap. Maya, he said slowly, there's something you need to know about Elias. Something we couldn't tell your family back then. Maya frowned, her heart pounding. You mean about how he died? The general nodded. Yes, and what he died for. He opened the envelope and pulled out a photograph. It showed Elias, younger and smiling, standing beside a local orphanage in Al-Mafraq, surrounded by children. At the bottom, a small girl clung to his leg. This picture was taken 3 days before his final mission, the general said. He wasn't supposed to be there. He went off-grid, risking court-martial, to evacuate a group of children caught in the crossfire. That's the kind of man he was. Maya's throat tightened. He saved kids. The general nodded. He got them out. But on the way back, his unit was ambushed. He took the hit, so the others could escape, including one of our youngest Marines, Lawson's father. Maya froze. Lawson's father? Yes. The soldier you saved, Private Lawson. He's the son of the man your brother saved that day. Neither of them ever knew the connection until now." Maya's breath caught in her chest. The world spun for a moment, every event from the past 2 days flashing through her mind: the alley, the blood, the soldier she'd dragged to safety, the medal, the letter. It all lined up, like pieces of a story written long before she realized she was living it. The general continued, "Elias once told me, if I don't make it home, make sure someone remembers that kindness wins wars more than bullets." He believed that one act of courage could echo through generations. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You proved him right, Maya." Maya covered her face with her hands, sobbing quietly. But this time her tears were not for loss. They were for legacy. When she looked up again, the general's eyes were misty too. "There's one more thing," he said softly, handing her another sealed folder. "Your brother started a foundation before his last mission. In your name. We never knew until now." She opened it slowly, reading the words through blurred vision. "The Maya Hope Fund, for children displaced by war, established by Corporal Elias Johnson." Her hands trembled. She whispered, "He built this. For me." The general nodded. "And now it's yours." Maya clutched the folder to her chest, her voice breaking. "He never left me. He just made sure I kept going." The general placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "He didn't just make sure you kept going, Maya. He made sure the world did." Outside, thunder rolled softly. Not a storm, but a salute, the promise beneath the flag. 2 weeks later, the hospital released Maya. Her wounds had healed enough for her to walk again, though the scars would forever whisper their story. She arrived at the National Military Cemetery, with the folded flag pressed to her chest. The one the Marines had presented to her at the ceremony. Rows of white headstones stretched across the green horizon, silent yet alive with memory. Private Lawson walked beside her, still in uniform, his arm now fully healed. "You sure you're ready for this?" he asked quietly. Maya gave a faint smile. "I've been waiting 5 years for this." They stopped before a headstone that read, "Corporal Elias Johnson, son, brother, hero. He fought with heart when others only had weapons." The air felt still, heavy with love and ghosts. Maya knelt, placing the folded flag beneath his name. Her fingers brushed the engraved letters. "You kept your promise, big brother," she whispered. "Now it's my turn." Lawson stood behind her, holding a small box. "The general asked me to give you this. He said your brother would have wanted you to have it." Maya opened the box. Inside was a weathered dog tag, not her brother's, but one that bore another name. PVT Daniel Lawson. Maya looked up, puzzled. Lawson's eyes glistened. "That's my dad's. He told me when I enlisted that a man once saved his life. He never knew his name. Until now. That man was your brother." She gasped softly, tears brimming. "My father passed away last year," Lawson continued, his voice trembling. "Before he died, he said, 'If you ever meet the family of the man who saved me, tell them I never forgot.'" He paused, lowering his head. "You didn't just save me, Maya. You saved what your brother once saved. My father's bloodline, his promise." Maya's knees weakened, emotion overwhelming her. "I didn't even know him. And yet somehow, I've been tied to him my whole life." Lawson placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Maybe that's what courage does. It connects souls that destiny wants to keep together." A light breeze swept through the cemetery, fluttering the flags that stood by each grave. The wind caught Maya's hair, and for a fleeting second she thought she heard Elias's voice, warm, steady, laughing like he used to. "Told you, little sis, don't ever stop fighting." She smiled through her tears, whispering back, "I didn't." Lawson stepped back, saluted the grave, and murmured, "Semper Fi." The sound of a single bugle echoed across the field again. Faint, lonely, perfect. Maya rose to her feet. The sun broke through the clouds, painting gold across the headstone. And for the first time in 5 years, she felt peace. Not because she'd said goodbye, but because she'd finally understood that love never leaves. The foundation of courage. Months passed, but the memory of that day at the cemetery never left Maya. It became her compass, her reminder that grief could be turned into purpose. The Maya Hope Fund, once a forgotten file in military archives, now had walls, voices, and a heartbeat. Inside a modest building near the harbor, children of war, orphaned, displaced, and frightened, laughed, painted, and learned again how to dream. The sign above the door read, "Hope lives here." Maya stood in the doorway, wearing a simple white dress and her brother's dog tag around her neck. She watched as a group of children chased a ball across the courtyard. Sophia, now volunteering full-time, walked up beside her. "You built all this in 3 months. Your brother would be beyond proud." Maya smiled faintly. "He built it first. I just finished what he started." Sophia handed her a newspaper. The headline read, "Woman who saved soldier rebuilds hope for war's lost children." Beneath it, a photograph. Maya standing between 2 Marines, the medal gleaming against her heart. She laughed softly. "He always wanted me to make the news, just not like this." A voice came from behind her, deep, familiar. "You've made more than the news, Maya." She turned. General Carson entered, flanked by 2 Marines holding a framed plaque. "On behalf of the Corps," he said, "we're officially naming this building the Elias Johnson Center for Hope. His courage lives through every life you touch." Maya's breath caught. She pressed a hand to her chest, overwhelmed. "I don't know what to say." The general's voice softened. "Then don't. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's all heroes ever need to say." Children gathered around her then, small hands tugging at her dress, bright eyes looking up. One little girl, no older than 6, held out a paper drawing. It showed a soldier and a woman standing under a flag, holding hands. The child said shyly, "That's you. And your brother. He's smiling." Maya knelt down, taking the drawing carefully. Her eyes shimmered. "It's perfect." The girl asked, "Are you going to fight bad guys like him too?" Maya shook her head, smiling. "No, sweetheart. I'm going to fight fear, with kindness." The courtyard filled with laughter again. The sound of children running echoed like music against the wind. As the sun dipped below the horizon, its last light caught her medal, the dog tag, and the framed name above the door, binding past and present together. The general watched quietly. "You know," he said to Sophia, "sometimes heroes wear uniforms, and sometimes they wear scars." Maya looked toward the sky, orange and gold, vast and endless, and whispered, "Thank you, Elias, for giving me a reason to live." The medal and the message finale that evening. The city lights flickered across the harbor like scattered stars. The Elias Johnson Center for Hope glowed softly in the distance, a beacon against the darkness. Inside, the laughter of children still echoed faintly, like the hum of life refusing to fade. Maya sat alone on the rooftop, the wind tugging gently at her hair. She turned the Medal of Valor over in her hands, tracing its edges with her thumb. The medal was cold, but the memory behind it burned warm. She whispered, "You saved me more than I saved you." From her pocket, she pulled out the folded letter she had received the day after the ceremony. The one General Carson said was found among Elias's belongings. She unfolded it carefully. "If you're reading this, sis, I didn't make it back. But listen, don't let my story end with a folded flag. Build something. Anything. A garden, a school, a life. Just build. Because courage isn't dying for someone, it's living after they're gone. Elias." Her tears fell silently onto the page, but this time she didn't hide them. She let them fall, each drop cleansing the ache that had lived in her chest for months. A soft knock echoed behind her. Sophia stepped out, carrying 2 mugs of tea. "You okay?" Maya smiled faintly. For the first time in a long time. "Yeah." They sat side by side in quiet. Below them, the center buzzed with life. Volunteers finishing up, children heading home, a new tomorrow already in motion. Maya glanced at the sky. "You know, Sophia, I used to think strength meant fighting. Now I think it means forgiving. Life, fate, even yourself." Sophia nodded. "That's what makes you a warrior, Maya." Maya chuckled softly. "No, that's what makes me human." She looked down at the medal one last time, then placed it on the rooftop edge beside Elias's dog tag. Together they gleamed under the fading light. In a world that glorifies power, Maya's story reminds us of a quieter truth, that real strength isn't loud. It doesn't march, shout, or demand to be seen. It kneels beside pain, listens to silence, and chooses to rebuild when everything's been broken. We often believe heroes are born on battlefields, but sometimes they rise from hospital beds, holding onto life by a thread. Sometimes they are teachers, janitors, nurses, people who show up when no one else does, who keep giving even when the world takes everything from them. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to keep walking through it, step by trembling step, until it no longer controls you. And love is what gives that courage a name. Maya didn't wear a cape. She wore scars, and they told a story stronger than any medal ever could. Because true bravery doesn't end with survival, it begins there. So when life knocks you down, when the weight feels too heavy, remember Maya. Remember the girl who was stabbed 7 times defending a stranger, and still found it in her heart to forgive, to heal, and to help others rise. Because every act of kindness, no matter how small, is a victory over pain, and every time you choose compassion over anger, hope over despair, you become someone's silent hero, the kind the world desperately needs more of.